second. Just give me a second. Let me hit the start button. Okay,
It
now
started already.
Oh, wow.
No?
I mean, no, so I just like hit the start button, so now it's on. I'm probably going to leave this all in. Who knows? I'm going to give it to you.
Yay. That's fine. Welcome to the Bullet Sports Handsome Hour. We don't need to share this, but for those who don't know, nobody knows this, but this is actually take two. We're joined tonight by Boiler Dowd, as always.
Hello, sir.
As sometimes. And we also have, behind the glass, doing the technology-related tasks that we're incapable of doing, is the Swami.
This is me typing.
No, we actually attempted to do this earlier today and somehow did not capture it. And I think it's safe to say it was our best Handsome Hour ever.
It was excellent, and no one will ever know.
This is the 90. This is apparently the 90th one.
Yeah, we're getting
really?
close to. So there's a couple things. Number one, I have to wish my co-founder an happy anniversary, because last Friday, Anish, was 9 years since Bullet Sports was launched. So we are now in our 10th year of covering Purdue football and basketball.
Make it a special one.
How many national titles? How many?
I've lost track at this point.
It's so many, exactly.
Final Fours.
So in doing some research on some statistics I will share in a moment, I have to say the 1943 Purdue football team got rooked. You know how there's like Minnesota and some of these other programs claim national titles from like the 40s in football? Purdue's, I think it's 43. They went 9-0 with like 5 shutouts, and they go into the IU game ranked 5th in the country only, and they shut out IU, and they fall to like 8th. Like, if that's not the most Purdue sort of like fitting story for Purdue, how Purdue sports are treated, it's like you can go back 70, 80 years, it doesn't matter. Same crap was going on. Like, it doesn't matter. So just to cheer
So you're
everybody
saying
up.
we're going to beat Iowa, is what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Well,
Okay.
to cheer everybody up, and Anish, I'll just ask you this on the side. Do you think my stats from the basketball beat will stay in, or should I?
No, they won't. Go ahead.
So anyone listening to this knows that we joined the basketball beat uninvited this week, and
As opposed
clearly,
to how you normally joined, which is
Usually
very
we're-
politely.
we're very invited when we usually show up. I don't think we barge in that often. It just was really funny because I was getting set to record tonight, and I'm just in Hangouts, and I'm like, what is this? And I see live, and you guys were in the middle of just, it was very organized and thought out, and then we just ruined it, as usual.
That's true.
Yeah, I know. No, so the stats I have, and people can say what they want. They get mad at us sometimes when we say negative things. That's one of my favorite Purdue fan things, is when they get angry at you for talking about the facts. They get angry at you for the truth. That's one of the best.
Happens a lot.
But Purdue, Darrell Hazell, has in 3 seasons, consecutive seasons now, lost 5 games or more in a row, right? At least a 5-game losing streak in each of his 3 seasons. So the statistic I was trying to find today when I was researching all of Purdue football was, when was the last time that happened? Because it has to have happened, because Purdue's a bad program traditionally in football. Not bad always, but just not a blue blood as we refer to it. And it has never happened before. Purdue football has never had 3 consecutive seasons of 5 losses in a row. In fact, we all think of Jim Coletto right away, or his lesser-known brother Joe. And Coletto had one terrible season, right? That, Ryan, I don't know what 92, 93 when he went 1-10.
It was 93.
Right. So, okay, that's just clearly like the things were a mess, and he was 1-10. Other than that season, he never lost 5 games in a row. How about that? Never, ever lost 5 in a row, except for his one season that I think any coach will get at a Purdue will get that kind of leeway. Like, let's have one, fine. You need to get things back on track. That's fine. Never had another season like that. He didn't come close to losing as many games by 30-plus points as Darrell Hazell has. And the other thing I threw at you earlier today that I know you love is that if Darrell Hazell wins his next 16 games in a row at Purdue, he will equal Danny Hope's coaching record at Purdue.
That's insane.
So, but think about how that would play out. That would mean they win the last 3 games of this year, which would be a nice finish, and then they run the table next year and win the Big Ten title game. So if that happens, but think about that. Think about how ludicrous that is. How ludicrous that is.
Big Ten championship game. What is that?
If they win the Big Ten title game, I don't even know if they'd be in the college playoff, but I guess they would, right? If you run the table in the Big Ten, you're probably in the top, and then you win the Big Ten title.
Number 1 or 2. I mean.
No, there's a chaos scenario this year where Iowa runs the tables and somehow it doesn't get in, and it's the best. It's what I'm rooting for. Go Iowa.
Me too, because then it forces the 8 team, right? I mean, I think there's a real
you're going to do 8 team.
Yeah.
No, see, what I've said for years, and you probably remember me writing this, some of you, 6.
But the kids, the classes.
No. 6 is perfect to me because what you can do is you give the top 2 teams buys. That way, all these people who argue that it was great when it was just 1 versus 2 because it meant you could never lose, you had to be 1 and 2, it was really important. It makes 1 and 2 super important because you give them buys to the semifinals. And you have the remaining 4 teams play one another. Then you've got your Final 4 set. And
That's
so
fair.
now you've made 1 and 2 super valuable. But you've added 2 teams. Now you've got all 5 Power 5s, and you've got a wild card. That could be Notre Dame. That could be another. So the years when the SEC is so great, fine. A second SEC team gets in. That's fine. Let them have their shot. I think how it is right now, and we all know this. We're not conference loyalists, but it's so stupid that you've got 4, and you've got 5 Power 5 conference. It's the Big 12 is going to get screwed again this year because Notre Dame is probably not going to lose, and they're already 4th. They're not going to drop. So Notre Dame's going to get in.
OK State's going to get in. OK State's going to get screwed probably. Then Baylor.
Because they've that. I mean, both Baylor and Oklahoma State. Not only they've won, but they've won just by beating the hell.
Did you see what I retweeted earlier tonight? I saw the stat. It was astonishing. The last 8 times that Baylor has played a ranked team at home, they are 8-0. 8-0, and I understand you're at home, but playing ranked teams and never losing. And some of those teams were top 10.
The last what's our record in the last 8 games? Games.
Any games?
Games against the MAC. Our last 8 against the MAC. What's our record?
Oh,
probably about 4-4. I would guess.
I think it's not winning. So
it's.
I don't have feelings changed. I don't know what you guys talked about in the unrecorded one, but okay. I will kind of ask you guys a question. Have feelings changed really in the last month about Hazel? About Hazel, just Hazel.
I think so.
Mine have gotten much worse.
It goes back to what we talked when we did talk earlier today. We talked about, you said this too, and we've all said this. We like Darrell Hazel. We like the man. There's nothing not to like about him as a person. I mean, so far that what we've seen. Not a guy who embarrasses you as a speaker, as a leader. You want him to succeed for so many reasons, but there's just too much overwhelming evidence that he's not a good head football coach. They're at they're 6-27, 3-27 against non-FCS teams. So he's winning at a 100 clip. That's almost impossible.
Yeah,
you should accidentally win more.
Yeah. Well, you're getting down into that really horrible area, like that only New Mexico State and Northwestern in the early '90s and late '80s.
Kansas now.
Kansas. I mean, you're in a dark place, and you're in a place where you're a national punchline. I mean, I was listening to some national sports talk radio show this morning, and they just mentioned Purdue offhand because they were about to have the guy who writes the bottom 10.
I was just pulling it up, the bottom 25, Tom Fernelli. I wanted to see where we were.
I don't know. I didn't have around, but the fact that Purdue was mentioned in that, I was like, oh, crap.
Purdue was 15th after losing to Illinois
15
last
from the
week.
Bottom?
No, so number 1 is the worst.
Who's number 1?
Number 1, I think Kansas? No, Central Florida. Kansas is number 2. So the blurb that Tom writes is, a week after beating Nebraska, Purdue allowed an Illinois team that hasn't been able to run the ball all season to rush 382 yards. Talk about regression to the mean. Purdue is an engineering school, so it loves math and will understand that.
That was Jay's favorite stat, I think. No, it was my brother. Pardon me, it wasn't Jay. I kept getting texts during that game about how easily Illinois was running, and my brother kept saying, "They're last in the Big Ten at rushing. They're last." I said, "Their running back's been hurt, though." I mean, it doesn't change the fact that guy had so much space just to pick.
Purdue,
I mean, gosh.
Purdue cures. We've been saying it.
Oh, we've been saying it.
Whatever ails you.
If you're a struggling team, play Purdue. Everything will be fine.
Well, unless you're Nebraska,
Nebraska somehow lost to both Purdue and Illinois this year.
That's incredible. And then they beat Michigan State.
Yeah.
So and beat them.
Not really, though. Not really.
Well, I mean, never mind that touchdown probably shouldn't have counted. But
no, that's a big never mind. And that was the biggest hose job that I can remember. In a long time. That was such an easy call.
And they stopped and looked at it. And
that's
said,
the thing I wondered. Is the replay? I don't understand all replay rules sometimes, and I wonder if that's one of them. That's for some reason it's not overturnable that way.
Oh no, they said it was. They said they looked at it. And then came on and said he was forced out of bounds.
Why have replay? I've said that about 50 times this year. Why have replay if you're gonna miss stuff like that? I mean that's absurd. How the hell could they believe he was forced out? But
bad officials. Bad officials. So this is because who cares at this point what we're talking about? We should talk about other things besides Purdue football. But you talk about this being a bad stretch, and you mentioned you're in Northwestern territory. Did you ever? I know we all know they were bad for a long, long time, right?
Yeah.
I think Dave mentioned this in one of his posts. Rick Venturi. Do you remember him being?
Yeah.
He was a coach around the pros and everything else, but he was only a head coach in college for 3 years, and it was 78-80.
Did he coach the Colts at one point? He did, didn't he?
He was. I don't think he was a head coach, was he? Well,
yeah, he was, because I remember the Rick Venturi show. They wouldn't have done that.
So Venturi at Northwestern, 3 football seasons, he went 1-31-1.
Oh my gosh!
And that's in the midst of a 6-season span. Wait for this. They went 3-62-1 in 6 seasons. 3 wins in 6 years, and all of them double-digit loss seasons. And then 13 years later, they were in the Rose Bowl. So Purdue fans, 2028, you can book your Rose Bowl tickets.
I'd say that's just about on cue, right? We go once every 20 years or so.
Well, more than that.
30 years.
30 plus years. I mean, they went in 67 and 2000, right? And I don't even know if they went ever before that.
My dad was a sophomore at Purdue when they went and won.
You were out for 2 years.
I was out. And I was out of Purdue when they went the next time.
So how old's your son now? Because...
Yeah, that's a good point, Anish.
9 years away, right? So he'd be a sophomore.
Can he quarterback? Can he catch the ball? Can he football? Any kind.
He know football good. He's a smart kid. He's like you without the basketball skill, Anish.
That's true. He doesn't have the drop step.
No, and he doesn't have the size.
That's true.
He's a little guy.
I just don't know what else you can say though about Purdue football this month. That's the saddest part. We want to keep doing Handsome Hours, but it's going to have to be basketball focused, and there's already a basketball podcast in the Bold Sports Podcast Network. I don't. The thing that also is weirdly frustrating about this team, and one thing that we've said before, is this is not an untalented group of players, and they're not an unlikable group of players. There have been malcontents. There have been guys who clearly weren't buying into the program. I don't see that with these guys. It's very weird that they're still playing hard. They're put in a tough spot with these game plans and things like these asinine. Let's have a trick play on the kickoff. Let's take something that when you screw up a kickoff, right? You screw up on special teams. It's debilitating to your game, right? It's debilitating. You throw an interception. All right. Well, if it's the other end of the field, it's kind of like a punt. You screw up on a kickoff the way they did. It's so deflating, and so. One thing I've said is if you're going to try trick plays, gadget plays, if you're on offense and you spotted a weakness, and you want to, fine, I'm all for that kind of creativity. What I'm not for is this, let's be creative now. How about now? Let's do it now. Oh, look at that, it didn't work at all. So,
but that's something, if you look at the way this coaching staff coaches, 3 weeks ago, they went super conservative. Right, and they went conservative in a way that you're like, okay, we don't want to get embarrassed.
There's no way to win.
Hell, we're going to win, but we're gonna go conservative, and we're gonna keep everybody safe because Wisconsin's a very dangerous place to play football, right? So then they say, okay, we're gonna go really aggressive, and so they go aggressive, and you're like, why are you picking now? Why didn't you pick this 2-3 weeks ago, right? Because it wasn't like, other than saying, well, we really didn't want Blau to go down and get hurt, so we wanted to make sure we were going to put him in a bubble wrap, and every time he would drop back and just fall over, or he'd hand it off and then run away to make sure there was no contact, so you wouldn't have to burn Sindelar's red shirt, and then whenever they make play calls like things that are clearly plays that should be in the wake of something else happening. You run a chair route after you've run an out route, because you get the corner to bite. You run a bubble screen, and then you run a pump and go. There's an order, but instead Purdue starts the game off, and I said this to you earlier, Jay, that they start the game off with weird asinine motion, where a guy's just kind of running around the backfield, and comes to a rest. The Illinois defense looks at it and they don't shift. They don't move because they say, nothing there, right? Nothing's going to happen. And guess what? Purdue runs a draw, and he gains 1 yard. And so that type of play calling is just that's the flavor of the day. It's like, what would look cool? Shit, let's try it.
Why? So why didn't? So at the end of that Illinois game, by the middle of the fourth quarter, it was pretty much known all of the players were pulled out that had backups that could play.
Mm-hmm.
All of the stars were pulled out except for David Blau. Was there a reason? Because Appleby was actually healthy that game.
Right. I think he's healthy.
If he's the backup, put him in.
I have no idea.
I think it's because the coaching staff didn't want to look like they were.
Jumping ship on
a little bit.
Who cares? What face do they have to say?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's an odd thing. So one thing Jay and I talked about, and he touched on it there, is that you've got some really good guys, some really good personalities. They're easy to cheer for, easy to get behind. You like seeing what these, when they talk to the media. It's a bunch of guys that respectful group. They've got talent in that top group. The talent drop-off is huge to the twos, right? So when a guy goes down, when Bentley went down, everything's going to hell. One guy, one linebacker, and then, oh no, Herman now has a hamstring. Now we're really, really in trouble. We're scrambling to find anything. So, and Herman, I don't know what, he got taken out again. I don't remember what his final injury was. Honestly, and I'm a Purdue wonk like you guys. After that game last week, I didn't want to read anything. And that's why I say, my post-game, this is kind of what you say about kind of staying away from the toxic topic of football. I write that quick post, and I'm like, if 20 people read it, that's surprising to me. Because do you guys, after a game like that, you just say, let's not do anything Purdue.
Well, that's why nobody wanted to do a post game. That's why everybody was like, now all of us were around, and we're all like, I don't want to write anything. There's not. What do you say? If I had done it, it would have been one of two things. It would have been one of those historically angry ones that we've done, like once or twice a year, where you're just freaking furious when you write it, or it would have been, deliberately half-assed, like 3 words,
like mine.
Or I would have typed nobody cares and just copy paste, just so it would have said nobody cares like wallpaper.
Anish would have done that, but it would have been all caps.
Yep. I don't know. It sucks. We help, at least I help run a Purdue blog, and I didn't care. I did not care.
I have corrected yourself. You don't need to do that. You're a full.
No, you guys, but none of us care. None of us care about football anymore. It's apathy, and
No, I
we
don't
are.
know that that's true. I think we do. That's why we're so
Well,
annoyed by it.
Well, here I got a good story about that apathy. Okay, I think you guys will both appreciate this. You guys have both watched games with me, so I think you'll appreciate this. I was at my cousin's. He's actually my god brother's house. Okay, known the guy forever. He knows me really well. He went to Purdue at the same time that I did, and I was down in the basement watching the game. He went upstairs to make lunch for his kids. When he left Purdue, let's see, it was 20-7. Something like that, or 21-7. I can't remember what the halftime score was, but in a second you'll see. So I stayed down there by myself, watched the final. I think it was a minute and a half. Illinois got the ball back, and they drove right down the field on Purdue,
Right.
and they scored. So I come up. He said, "What's halftime score?" And I say, 27-7. And he said, "They scored again?" I said, "Yeah." They marched right down the field. And he said, "You didn't let out a peep." And I said, "Oh my goodness." I mean, you guys have been with me. I yell at nothing all game long if the game is at all interesting, right? Positive or negative, you know. I didn't even do it. I just sat down there,
You've
and
been,
I
you've
think
been
one
worn
of the
down.
kids was down there playing Legos, and I was like, just, "Hey, Wayne, all right, guys."
You've just been ground down to
Yeah.
they've squeezed it out of you. They've
Yep,
squeezed
and
the,
this is something that it's
Good
completely
job, Morgan
involuntary.
Burke.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you've made the point too that people who get angry at Coach Hazel or Morgan Burke, that's fine,
Mhm.
but that you feel that the ultimate responsibility doesn't lie with Burke.
I do, and this is the thing. I've reminded a lot of people, and I'm a guy who thinks Burke has completely
Overstayed.
ruined any
Yeah.
any chance of him being judged as a positive entity to Purdue because of what he has melted down, what he has burnt to a crisp here at the football program. It's a horrible mess, and every Purdue fan who's a person who bought tickets at some point in the last couple of years is going to have painful memories of what those Saturdays were like. You go there and you leave angry, you leave sarcastic, you leave saying, "I don't ever want to do this again. It's going to take a miracle. I hope they can do something that makes me want to come back," whatever your sentiment is. But I'll say it again. Burke's boss is not the alums. Burke's boss is it's not you and I. Burke's boss is not even Mitch Daniels. Burke's boss is the trustees. The trustees are completely happy right now. And they are a faceless group behind a curtain. We don't even know who them. I didn't really even know who what the trustees were until the early 2000s, right? But this group, they make all the decisions. They're the ones who signed his extension in June or July in the depth of one of the worst periods in football program history. They signed him to an extension because guess what? The budgets are good. Big Ten Network money's rolling in, and everything's fine. The program's in the black, right? Here's the deal: if all the alums like you guys, who would give money, not big donors, but would give, the smaller John Purdue memberships, they still wouldn't match the Big Ten Network money. So if you go back to pre-Big Ten Network money, I know the money is distributed in a different way, and it's a shell game. I don't care, whatever you want to say, but not selling tickets doesn't matter. Not having John Purdue clubbers doesn't matter because there's money in the coffers. There is money coming in. There's so much money coming in that they can't buy a coach out for $6 million, but they can build a $60 million building. Right? I mean,
I don't think that they couldn't. They clearly could. That proves
Right.
they could. I'm convinced that.
but I'm one of the people that said that because I thought Burke is cheap. Trustees are cheap. They don't want to pay another guy.
Agree.
Right? And so that's my thought process. And I've said it to a lot of people. You guys are two of them, and other people. I've just said I can't see them buying a $6.6 million contract out. But then they say we're going to put a $60 million football upgrade to once again play catch up, right? Because that's what they do. They said they're not going to get in an arms race. Well, they're in a soft arms race where they fall way back behind, and then they try to catch up. Well,
Trying to
guess
catch
who
up to the middle.
they're trying to catch up. They're trying to catch up with IU. Let's be real honest.
Yeah.
Okay. IU built a beautiful addition to their stadium. It was a horrible stadium before. It looked like you were just taking a time capsule out of 1969 or 1970. Very dated, very bad looking. That end zone looks brilliant now. They have weight rooms in there. They have a lot of nice stuff in there. And I think it embarrasses the trustees. Older alums don't like Purdue getting beaten by IU in anything. Well, guess what? Not only is Purdue getting beaten in facilities, Purdue's getting beaten in recruiting, and Purdue's getting their ass kicked on the field. How's that feel, trustees? If there's something that should get their attention, it'd be that. The in-state battle, Purdue isn't even it's not a blip.
Well,
we're getting, what is it, 3 straight bucket games, right? Is that 3 losses?
Just wait until Thanksgiving, and
right.
There's going to be, this is kind of like the perfect storm, right? Because even the last couple of years, IU wasn't really, that good. This year, I think IU's offense is incredibly high-powered,
yes.
And Purdue doesn't have a team.
So you have a great offense versus an atrocious defense.
And they're gonna want to run the score.
IU is amazingly, they're winless in the Big Ten, but I agree with you. I think they're gonna pummel Purdue.
So they played Maryland this week. Do you guys know that? I can check real quickly, but
I can look.
Because that's maybe a bigger game than the Purdue game, because without that you have no bowl.
So, 2 things about about what you guys just talked about. $60 million was supposed to be seen as a big investment. The Northwestern football program is just building a lakefront facility. I think over $100 million, $55 million of which was raised already 3 years ago from donations. So that's Northwestern. Then we were just talking about how bad they were. Also, did you see when Illinois just fired their athletic director for non-football reasons, just general being terrible at running a athletic department that was human? Did you see BTN just show the quick how long each athletic director has been in power? So who do you think? So I'll give it away. Morgan Burke is by far the longest tenure.
I think he came in either 95 or 96, right?
1993.
93, because it was the year I came on campus. I shouldn't know.
Who is the second youngest, or like the second oldest
tenured?
Let's go Michigan State.
I was going to say Dave Brandon at Michigan, but that's not right?
No, he's gone.
Yeah, Dave Brandon's gone. So do you want another guess, Jay?
I give up.
Okay, so it is Barry Alvarez.
Barry Alvarez, that's what I was going to start. Dang it.
Wisconsin, 2004. Who did you say? Oh, Michigan State, Mark Hollis, 2008, the same time as both IU and Northwestern. Barry Alvarez was 2004, Gene Smith, 2005. Somehow he survived that whole thing. Gary Barta at Iowa, 2006, then the group at 2008, and then all these new ones, Maryland, Nebraska, Rutgers, Penn State, and now Illinois.
Wouldn't it seem, is this a logical thing, or am I connecting dots that aren't there? Maybe would it seem that these universities said, the rules have changed, guys. We can't run our athletic program like we used to because of the influx of money. Is that possible? Am I wrong?
Well, so if we look at it, Penn State changed it because of external reasons. Illinois changed it because of external reasons. I am surprised Ohio State hasn't. And Barry Alvarez has kind of been there seemingly forever until you realize Morgan Burke has been there 11 years more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maryland, they were looking to, Kevin Anderson, they were looking to get into a new conference. Same with Rutgers. Like, they're looking to.
That goes along with what I'm saying, right? Because the TV revenue kind of pulls that train.
Same with Nebraska, because they're 2012. Mm-hmm. They're looking to go into a new conference. But some of these more traditional ones, since the mid-2000s, they haven't been. I don't know. Like, I think Indiana and Northwestern might be the best cases of that, where in 2008 they were just like, we are so far behind the ball that things have got to change. Also, the IU basketball thing happened right around that time, so that was probably another external thing that pushed.
So But by the way, to go back to a question, IU actually has 3 games left. They play Maryland next week. They play Michigan. This week.
Yeah.
So
well, that's the thing. They'll lose to Michigan, and then they're playing for their.
They'll beat Maryland, and if they're playing Purdue for a bowl, oh man.
Well, that's the thing. I was walking out of the grocery store 2 days ago, and I had a Purdue sweatshirt on. Guy in an IU shirt says, "Who wins the bucket?" I said, "Oh, IU, going away." He said, "Oh, I didn't want to hear that." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, I know that if IU goes to a bowl, they'll keep Wilson. I really don't want that guy around anymore." I said, "Well," I said, "they got Maryland and Purdue left. Sounds like 2 buys to me. So I don't."
Sounds like 2 buys to me.
I mean, they're in kind of a.
IU did give up 55 to Rutgers. I just want to point that out.
Right. But, I mean, Maryland's in disarray and Purdue's in more disarray. I can't see a scenario Purdue wins, but
I guess that'll be the next thing I research. When was the last time Purdue lost 3 straight buckets? I know this probably happened, but I know it's happened. It's just been a long time.
That's easy enough to pull up, but I don't know. So there have to be off-season changes, right?
Well,
yeah, but it's not going to be the head coach. I think the off-season changes are the coordinators, and Jay and I both agree that you'll have coordinators be forced out, or whatever you want to call it, behind closed doors, resignations, however you want to say it. And then the other thing that'll happen is the guys that are rising stars will find jobs elsewhere because they know they're going down with the ship. And then Jay alluded to this on take one. That's what we're calling it. That you'll have guys like Tim Tibesar who are not supposed to be coaching, not supposed to be coordinators at the college level. That'll be all Hazel can find. It'll be Tim Tibesar or a guy who's 32 years old in the MAC or 32 years old in the Sun Belt, and he's a positional coach, and you say, hey, we'll give you a shot.
I'd bring in one of those guys.
I'd love it.
Or Terry Malone. Give Terry Malone a shot.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm worried about, because Terry Malone's, I know he's old, but his resume is so good, and so I'm worried about losing him. I'm worried about losing Freeman.
I think there's a reason that Terry Malone came here. And honestly, I think he becomes offensive coordinator, and if things go so bad next year, he's the interim, right? He's the easy interim coach, and then he's got head coaching experience. Back to your question, have you looked up the answer, Justin?
I've not.
Okay, would you like to guess when was the last time Purdue lost?
Yes, I can tell you. My guess would be.
I'm not looking at it. Okay. So I'm going to go with.
I don't get to go first?
But I thought you were looking at a screen.
No, I'm not looking at anything.
You go first. Go first.
I'm going to say, I probably won't get the years exactly right, but I would say 86 to 88.
86 to 88. Okay.
I'm going to guess the same era because Anthony Thompson, IU was so good.
IU was good for a brief period.
Bad. Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to go I'm going to go. Actually, the team right after running back right after Thompson was good too, and so that's right
Purdue
before
was terrible.
Purdue was terrible. So let's say 89 through 90. I don't think they beat Purdue in that period. I don't think Purdue beat them. So let's say 89 through 92.
You guys were close. You guys were really, really close. You kind of both got right around it. 1944 to 1947.
You're such a dick.
You
guys are both right around it.
Right there. You're both right there.
World War II. Just World War II.
That's the last time they lost 3 in a row?
Yeah, so in...
think about it. So Purdue wasn't even really playing football full strength.
So
they played with guys my size.
In 1992, Purdue snuck a victory in between there. 1989, Purdue snuck a victory. And then before that, Purdue won 4 straight. IU wasn't that good.
Right.
But in those eras that you were talking about, Purdue snuck very close wins, 14 to 15 and 10 to 13 wins.
Did you say 14 to 15?
14-15.
That'd be
Think about that game.
And 10 to 13 was the other one.
10 to 13 was the other game. So that was the era.
Those are Coletto wins, aren't they?
And then 1995 was kind of when the tide turned again. Purdue won 51 to 14. And then just rattled off the Joe Tiller era.
Because that was the end of Mallory's era at IU, and that's part of the reason he was run out of town. And by the way, and I've said this before, I don't believe in karma. I believe in sports karma. IU running Mallory out and just not letting him have one more year where he decided what the hell difference was it going to make. And so then they go get Cam Cameron. Good job, IU. That's the hard thing about hiring, right? That guy was a hot shot at that point. Cam Cameron was a rising star, a meteoric star. So he goes to IU. He never head coaches again because of that. He still kept his good name. Everybody said, well, this guy he's a good offensive coordinator.
Again, he's a very, very good, like Rod Marinelli, like in the NFL, legendary defensive coordinator, and also coached and will go into the Hall of Fame as a defensive coach, also coached the 0-16 Lions. So there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, like some position.
By the way. Oh, you were. Wait, who
no,
were you?
It's just some position coaches, some.
We're gonna reference Caldwell there. How can you not? There's a great segue goes right into Caldwell, right? So the Colts had that horrible season, and then the Lions hired him.
I was more talking about the Colts' current head coach, but we can continue. But anyway,
that's a mess. That whole thing's a mess, and it's funny. Weeks ago, my 9-year-old and I were talking about what we think should happen. This was right after Hasselbeck had played that inspired game that forced me to write something on Boiled Sports, which I never do. I don't, and how many Colts articles, how many Colts posts have I had in the last 3-4 years? Not many. And so, but I loved what, Hasselbeck's inspired performance. I said, let Luck sit. Let the guy just get completely healthy.
He's the franchise.
He's the franchise. There's so much logic to it, and you've got one of the best backups who doesn't have much more tread left on his tires. This may be it, right? So let the guy play. He looks good. He looks comfortable. If the line can keep him from getting knocked around, that'd be great. And then Luck goes and gets the crap beaten out of him again, because that's what he does. He puts himself in harm's way, and the line is a work in progress. And the old torn internal organ, lacerated internal organ.
Generally not a good thing.
No, that just sounds horrible.
I have been talking about Nick Saban to the Colts since June, I think.
Yeah.
I put odds down. I think I tweeted out a tweet that had odds on his next home being Carmel, Fishers, Noblesville, Geist.
Right.
You can place your bets. I'm still taking bets, but those have shifted.
It's got to be a name, right? The next coach has to be a name.
It's going to be Saban.
How about Cowher?
The only other name is going to be Sean Payton.
You really think that? You really think Saban's going to coach the Colts?
Yes.
You believe that?
I think he's going to be GM and he's going to be coach.
Why do you think that he would leave Alabama? Because he's done what he can do?
Because he's done, and he has a successor, Kirby Smart. He's perfect.
Kirby Smart is awesome. So.
He's perfect. He's gonna be he's gonna leave. Like, he left LSU very poorly. He wants to leave Alabama and always be known as that guy. Right. And still be able to go back to college and succeed again at let's say Penn State or something like another
or say Texas,
USC, one of those kind of jobs, right?
How old Saban?
He's like 55.
Oh, I'd say he's more like 60 plus.
I think he's older than 55.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Let's consult the internet. 64, you are correct.
Yeah.
He's getting close to retirement age. I mean, like, just as a guy who seems like he likes to be tan because he's always tan.
You give up your tan when you can coach in the NFL with the next what's supposedly the next great quarterback. He's my favorite football player ever. But there have been chinks in his armor this year, right?
Well, I think he's been playing really injured since his first or second game.
But Nick Saban, that's it. Nick Saban, he's going to live in Geist because he doesn't have kids and he's an old man.
I'd take Bill Cowher. That's the guy that I'd vote. That's my vote.
But anyway. Bill
Cowher's waiting for the Giants job. I'll just tell you guys that right now. Bill Cowher's He's going to take over for Coughlin when Coughlin retires, and that's why I think Cowher hasn't taken a job, because Coughlin's hung around this long.
I like that. So, transitioning to it, there are no inspiring choices for Purdue. There are zero inspiring choices.
Well, that's the thing. We had that discussion off the air, and we talked about Brock Spack, and I think you guys were getting the idea as if that that's my number one call. It's not my number one call. I just think that if the logical thought process in Purdue athletics has been you save money where you can, specifically on coaching hires, right? And if you, given they have a buyout coming, regardless of when it comes, this is the thing that's really interesting discussion on the Knucklehead board. There are some people that just said, what's the point of not buying him out now, right? Because you're going to continue to pay him one way or the other. So next year the cost actually goes up because there's no way anyone's going to want to come to the stadium next year. It's a really good point. It's a really interesting way of looking at it. I don't think the trustees in Burke are thinking that way. But whenever the buyout comes, let's say whenever, so you have to go cheaper, right? Just to hope they can somewhat balance the budget that they've got, so then you have to go young, unwanted, old and unwanted. I think Spack fits the bill because of his low salary, and the fact that he's successful. And I don't even care about his time at Purdue. That's what I was saying to you and Isha. I'm not even looking at that. I'm looking at it as a head coach. He's successful. I know it's at the lower division, but it isn't Danny Hope where he took a championship team and made him into a team that was okay. He took a team that I think the season when he was brought in had 4 wins. The next season I think they had 6 or something like that, and then I think they elevated pretty quickly. I'm not positive. I'm not going to look at Brock Spack's resume because I'm not a Brock Spack guy, but I do think things would be better than they are, and that's all that I'm looking at. I just want to have a team that is out there. Seriously, 4 to 6 wins, stabilize it right now. Something has to be done to stabilize it, and it's not in the house. It's not hire freaking Taylor Stubblefield from a wide receiver coach position and elevate him to head coach. I don't care. I really don't care right now. Like I said, I like Hazel.
Come back, Drew Brees. Come back.
Drew Brees is making $1 gazillion from multiple places. There's no reason to believe he's going to stop for another, year or two. So I mean, that's the thing. At the beginning of the season, it looked like this could be it for Brees. Well, then he found life about 2 weeks later and started looking like Drew Brees again, So
the other the two big things that could get Hazel gone this summer or this off season are embarrassing losses, 3 straight embarrassing losses, which are very much in play, and something that happened this week, which was the decommitment of 2 of Purdue's highest recruits, right? So Nate Johnson, I think it was a cornerback.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
No, he's a receiver, I think.
I don't know. Wide receiver.
Which is a kid.
3-star wide receiver from Tennessee.
Did he verbal someplace else right away or no?
No, he literally on the signing day was just like, nope, screw it.
Nope, can't do it.
And I am looking for the other Colin Miller, the linebacker.
Yeah, the kid from Fisher.
HSC, yeah. Mm-hmm. From Hamilton Southeastern, another Indiana local kid, 3-star solid, 3-star recruit from Fisher's decommitment.
Yeah. Well, he was a big deal. I mean, that's the thing. He's a solid recruit, but he looked like a really an important recruit to that class.
He's probably going to Bloomington.
That's what I was just going to say. He's going to wind up in Indiana. That's
right, and that was what I was alluding to earlier. That's one of the losses that Purdue has right now, is they're losing to IU in every way.
And that is what could get it.
It's fireable, right?
At that point, you lose. And the other thing is, I will say this till the Crows come home. I think the next head coaching job that Darrell Hayes will get, and I think he will get one, he will succeed. I put me on record right now in saying that I think Hazel gets another shot. I think he gets hired almost immediately as an offensive coordinator.
Oh, as a coordinator, sure, but at what level?
Well, I think he'll get that. He'll get a wide receiver's job.
Yeah, and
right away at Ohio State probably.
Yeah, and then it doesn't matter. I mean, first of all, he's coached under pretty much every big name that you can coach under, so he's got connections. But I think he's going to get another head coaching option, whether it's a low Power 5 or a high mid-major type job. I think he's going to succeed.
I think he's a good assistant coach. I think he's a good
I
assistant.
don't
coach.
think he's a head
some
coach.
guys cap out at that. Some guys, no matter how great they seem as an assistant coach, they're not.
He has no idea how to change this. That's the thing that's.
How do you? What do you do?
You do something.
You fire your coordinators.
Well,
he's done nothing.
That should have been done after the Wisconsin game.
Should have been done.
During the bye. During the bye.
Last year.
This is the conversation we had, right? It should have been done over the summer. We
Yep.
all could easily see this future happening. It should have been done over the summer, at least with the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I'm willing to.
It should have been done in early December of 2014.
Yeah, but it wasn't, and so now at this point, what's the difference between another 18 days from now? Right?
Oh, sure. That makes no difference. Although I would say it would do something for your fans. They'd see something happening. They'd see you.
What's it going to do? Sell tickets?
No.
So it doesn't matter. You know what I mean, though? Like
apathy gets worse.
Right.
It makes Purdue Twitter feel better, but it doesn't really matter. Like, there's no real reason for the athletic department to do it or to demand Hazel do it.
The one reason the athletic department should demand he does it is to show that they have a pulse, right? Because it instills confidence in the entire picture that you're like, okay, there's still somebody back there that actually cares about football. Right now, it feels like just nobody cares about football, and that's the thing that I said to Jay before, and I've said to other people, is that my opinion about Burke has changed a bit in the last 3-4 months because I've been around the guy when Purdue's losing at basketball or football, and he curses like a sailor. I've been near him, not like hanging out in the room and eating hot dogs with him or anything, but I've been near him, and I've seen him get totally pissed off when it happens, right? Like enraged, okay? But I don't think he is willing to do anything about it. I don't think he knows who the next coach is because he's not a football guy. And so you have a non-football guy hiring a coach who really is not a head coach. So nobody in the chain of command knows how to make this thing better. Let's take some stabs in the dark, and hopefully we get another guy out of Wyoming that leads us someplace. But second choice again. That's the thing. I say it all the time. His most successful hire was his second choice. He wanted Bob Davie at Purdue. If Bob Davie would have been hired at Purdue, it would not have gone that way, right? The reason Joe Tiller succeeded is because he revolutionized things. He did things much different than the Big Ten was used to seeing. So here's the deal. I can't. When's the last time a traditional offense has succeeded at Purdue? How about this one? Here's one. And I talked about it to Dave. Via text. How about Navy's coach? If you can find a way, that's a great. I know it's not the traditional Purdue, model, but I'm thinking, boy, everybody has a hard time defending that. The guy's got a system. I don't care if it's running or throwing the ball. You start winning, people are going to be happy.
Purdue could be revolutionary, and they could call it football on grass. Something we haven't had at Purdue in a long time.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Okay, guys, we've spent an hour talking about football, hopefully, and a little bit of pro football mixed in, and some little bit, important things like that. Haven't gotten anywhere. Everybody feels better about it. That's the good thing. So. I think it's close to wrap-up time. Do you guys agree?
I think so, too. I think there's not much more depressing we can say about Purdue football. So,
No,
but I'm sure, like a bunch of idiots, we'll be watching on Saturday.
We will be. So, hey, Anish, thanks for sitting in. Thanks for adding texture and flavor. Babysitting. Yeah, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. Like we like to do, we always like to talk you guys up. The people that are here listening, thanks for your patronage. It means a lot because this is a tough product. The readers, the listeners, go download the Basketball Beat, absolutely. But download the Handsome Hour twice. Once for your phone, once for your computer. Keep our numbers higher than the Basketball Beat, whatever you do.
I cannot endorse this message.
We're not saying you have to listen to it. Just download it. Download it and walk away. Click play and just don't
and I understand
put it on for your dog or something. Yeah.
Right.
I tell everybody that I know just to click on my stories and then close them so that at least I get it a little bit. But you don't have to read it. I don't.
Looks
In
like
fact,
we got in the Pittsburgh area, we get one click.
yeah.
That's it.
Oh,
That's
for
it.
sure.
Nationwide. There's
For sure. That's it.
wait. There's one in Carmel. Your mom, and then that's it.
They don't care. No.
Your dad. He always calls me and just asks what I'm gonna write about. You know.
That's right. You guys hang out, right?
Mhm.
That's right.
Buddies. So thanks, Anish. Thanks, Jay. Jay, you wanna do the?
You've been listening to the Handsome Hour, the original Purdue podcast, the 90th episode of the Handsome Hour.
BS all the time.
Yay. All right, now I'm going to go sleep for a few hours.